welcome back to the Bay Area.
You don't have to welcome me. You don't have to say anything. I want everybody just to book up and hook up and listen to JV what he's talking about right now. Well, I'll tell you what, Mr. Vince McMahon. Whenever you go home, they ask you, did you win or did you lose? Tonight when I go home with my brothers, we're going to say we won. That's the bottom line is, do you win? Did you lose? That's not the bottom line. Bottom line is you win. That's the bottom line. That you win the match.
My biggest introduction into pro wrestling, I guess, that emerged was the fact of going to military school with the one and only Vince McMahon. Vince and I played on the same football team together. We were on the same baseball team together. Bobby the Brain Heenan saw me wrestle up in Canada with Baron Von Raschke and this Jimmy Valiant, who was wrestling in Indianapolis territory at the time. In fact, Heenan managed us, and then we started to bring up the gates and the houses around Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, into Chicago against the Crusher, against the Bruiser, and Moose Cholak and these guys. And finally, Jimmy Valiant and myself defeated Bruno Sammartino and Dick the Bruiser at the Chicago Amphitheater. And that kind of put us on the map in pro wrestling.
Sammartino continuing to move in on Gorilla Monsoon, another tremendous body slam. The fans behind the young Bruno Sammartino all the way. Stan Hansen in control of the match all the way at this moment. The crowd rooting for the great legend to get back to his feet. Sammartino insists and coming on strong against Killer Kowalski. Sammartino all over Killer Kowalski while they're on the ring.
The biggest name in professional wrestling, it has meant one thing: people love him. People come to see him in droves, in thousands, in hundreds of thousands. Wrestling's only, one and only, living legend, Bruno Sammartino. It's the ending of an era, perhaps the greatest era professional wrestling has ever known.
Bruno, I thank you very much.
I thank you, Gene. My pleasure.
A lot of wrestlers get out here and they try to prove themselves by talking. Well, brother, talk is cheap. There's a lot of wrestlers around here that say they're number one. But I tell you, this kind of narrows it down, because how many of them can compete with the strength of the Barbarian? How many of them can bench press 550 pounds? How many of them have the guts to call themselves number one? $10,000 that I am putting up for any wrestler that wrestles right here on NWA nationwide national television. Any wrestler that calls himself number one. I have $50,000, Road Warrior, and I will hang it above the ring. And all you have to do is beat these two men. Powers of pain down. I am not a gambling man, but I'm putting up $50,000 on a sure thing. Let's talk about Paul Jones' army. It's getting bigger and bigger all the time.
From Weirton, West Virginia, weighing 200
Former WWE wrestler Nick Big Bully Busick has been battling cancer.
For the people that are fighting this dreaded disease, I want you to know you keep the hope. I don't know if I'm going to make it or not. So far, I'm cancer-free.
He's a walking miracle.
It's that, bully. It's that. It's that.
One of my favorite pro wrestlers was Vader. Leon White was Big Van Vader. I remember I first saw the gimmick on TV and he came with that badass mask and the steam blowing out the top of it. It was the most impressive, intimidating, cool, badass things I'd ever seen.
Vader, he fears no man and he feels no pain.
The first by a 400-pounder super heavyweight moonsault
ever
and
in the history of professional wrestling,
and
like ever
actually
in the world.
Stan and I were tagged up in a 30-minute match. I don't know if I can say hell, but they beat the living heck out of each other. And that's where, of course, the eye came out of my socket, out of its socket, was on my cheek, and somehow we managed to get it back in and we finished that match.
First round draft pick to the Los Angeles Rams, and it all ended up with that. And all for football, the Super Bowl ring.
And he had like the worst luck in wrestling. I mean, he got called up the first time he broke his leg, so he had to stay down in OVW. The second time he got called up, he got hit in the head and got a concussion. They took him to the emergency room, gave him a CAT scan, and found he had a huge tumor in his head. Basically, he had brain cancer. He went through like years of chemo and radiation therapy, and still throughout the whole process, like happy, super positive.
But I'm not going to be able to live up to what this stands for. So it's time that I give it back so that the next person can take over and carry this on and do it justice.
Matt, no matter what, you will always be OVW champion, no matter what.
Tokyo, Japan. He weighs in at 248 pounds. He is Mr. Saito, seconded by his manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Oh, Saito suplex. The Saito suplex.
Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions, Mr. Fuji and Mr. Saito.
I heard what you said.
There's no way that you can stop me, sissy boy.
Take a look at that, McMahon, huh? What do you think? Is he too sexy now, or is he just too good, huh?
Fiance Lauren and I are standing next to the casket, and I keep looking down, almost expecting Brian to just sit up and start laughing. It's just tough. Everybody that met Brian loved him, so that's the way I wanted to be remembered.
Brown says he grew up on the streets of Miami and he knows how to get down and battle in a wrestling ring just like he did on the streets.
Terry, I just want to let you know I love you and I'll never forget you, and if it comes down to it, and I just could not believe the love, and I could not believe the love that the boys showed me. Mick Foley, Rocky Johnson, I can go on and all the independent guys. And don't get upset if I don't call your name, but just know that I love each and every one of y'all.
Mr. Volkoff requests that you all rise and respect his singing of the Soviet national anthem.
They call USA, but everybody know Russia #1, Iran #1. Cameraman, zoom it.
got something to say, let's settle in the ring right now.
Dynamite. That guy really paved a way for a lot of guys to follow and was stylistically just a trendsetter.
I think it's time for me to hang my boots up. I've got too many injuries, my back, my knees, my shoulder, different things. But anyway, I'd like to dedicate these boots to a young man who I do believe will be the superstar of the 90s. That's Chris Benoit.
Look at this! A superplex off the top rope. What is this? Never seen this. Both men on the top. Oh my God!
From Minneapolis, Minnesota, the father and son team, Kurt and Larry in